Nice. Hi and welcome. Yes, it's another Olivetti video. Before we actually start, I'm gonna show you two computers that we have seen before. And that's leading up to the third computer. So let me start with one of them. So this is the Olivetti M300-15. That's the 386 computer. And we saw this on my channel previously. Just look up there and you can see me walking through this one. Then we went through the Olivetti M300-30. And again, there's a video up there, so you can see that one. That's kind of like a theme here, right? It's more or less the same computer cabinet. And as we know, the computer model is the XP, let me look closer, 2655. And I got a third one. So let me bring that forward. And yes, it's also the XP 2655. So it has the same layout and the same grill and the same front like this one. But before I turn it around, I just want to tell you a tiny story. So I bought this on eBay at a seller and he was very nice. And we agreed on the price and I bought it and I just received it like 15 minutes ago. And sadly, it's completely broken. So shipment has effed this one up. I just don't understand sometimes how eBay can ship stuff and it end up like this. The seller actually packed it okay-ish, not 100% good, but okay-ish. So they must have thrown the case around in the van while transporting it. So we need to look at this one. We need to quickly open this one up because there's a lot of tension in this area so that we can relieve all the tension. So let me take the two other ones away, put this back on the table, move the camera closer, and let's quickly open this up if we can without breaking too much and then have a look. Once we've done that, we will have to clean the casing, obviously, and then I need to figure out if I can glue stuff back again. And then we need to look at the power supply, and then we need to look at the inner of the computer to see what's inside this one. So let me arrange the camera. Stay tuned. So as you can see, it's completely broken down here. And there's a lot of tension. I can't even take anything out. So we need to open this one up. But let's just quickly have a look. So it's a nice grill. Let's go the other way around. In the back, we have the label with the model XP 2655. We have a serial number down here. And if I move closer and take off my glasses so I can see better, it says 23844110. Next to that, we have the fan, which is for the power supply that's in here. And there's the screw. This is also for the power supply. There's power out, there's power in. There's nothing over here, but there's a PS2 keyboard, PS2 mouse. Then we have a parallel, then we have a serial, and way over here, we have the video out. There doesn't seem to be any cards inside it. Two screws on each side, and these two screws is what we need to turn to open the casing. So let me just briefly do that. And we take it all the way out. And on the other side, and if we move around, another grill on this side, and then we are back in the front. In the front, we have the Olivetti M300-15 logo. There's the speaker here. We have two lightings, one for power and one for hard disk activities. There's a key lock up here. I don't have the key, sadly. Let's hope this is not locked. And then we have the power button here. I can see it works. And this is the bay for the floppy disks or hard disk, whatever's inside here. I can see a floppy disk here, which seems to be broken also. If I turn it around and I move the camera a little bit further away, like this, I should be able to move this way to get the cabinet off. That's gonna be a struggle, I can feel it. So let's try again. Something rattling inside like this. So let's see if we can get it off. It's this way. Finally. Let's take the actual computer away first. And let's look at the cabinet. As you can see on the table, lots of stuff. So this is a very sad cabinet. But it's out. Let's look inside. So I feel it's not that dirty inside, so that's a good thing. I feel we need to take off, or we have to because I need to clean it. So we'll take off all the shielding that's inside here. So let me do that so we can have a closer look at the front and see how bad it is. If we look at the crack, so it's broken up here. This is broken. And there's a crack going all the way down here. So that's not nice. But I hope we can fix it-ish. So let me take off the shielding first. And then we need to locate where most of all of this actually belong in the computer cabinet. So let me do that. So the shielding is off. It's over here. And it's a little bit of a mess. It was a struggle to get this out without breaking more stuff. So this one sits up here. And this has some clips that needs to go in all of this around this area and over here. So that was a struggle to get this off, but I managed without breaking anything. But a lot of all of these are from this area. Specifically this thing. This thing sits here. Sorry, I need to make it. So it sits like this. And I will glue it back, but this will not hold like at all. So, and I'm missing a small piece down there. But now that the shielding is out of the casing, and I could take some of these out, which is for this area and up here. So this thing goes down there, and this one sits here. And obviously this area is for the floppy drive, which goes here, which comes from there. So that's also broken off, but I hope this is not smashed like crazy. If I looked just briefly at this computer itself, all the parts inside looks okay-ish, but a major problem is this area. So that's broken off here. That's the stand that holds the floppy disk, the hard disk, and the speaker area over here. So that absolutely needs to be taken off and glued back to this area. And if I move back, and we have a look at the crack, it seems like we can fix it so it's gonna be pretty-ish, but it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle to glue it all together, and the crack will be seen to a little bit, but let's hope for the best. I'm not gonna show you how to glue this with contact glue together. The same goes for the other part. I'll just do it and then we'll come back. So let me fix that. Let's see if we can get into the computer. And whilst moving it over here, I've obviously noticed and showed you that this is broken. I also have noticed that, sadly, in here, if I can get it out, this is the thingy for turning the computer on. So this is the switch inside here. So this is gonna be an issue, but if I can't fix it and find that piece that's broken off, we will have to 3D print this one. So let's start by getting this one off. That should be fairly easy. I will start by removing all the cables. I see that we have a hard drive in here, and whilst moving the cable, I see this is not fastened anywhere. So this has been shaking all around. So I will say goodbye to the hard drive. Well, let's see if we can get the cable out. That's also broken. So very carefully. So as you can see, maybe it's broken up here. It clips back together again. And the floppy drive cable, let's get that out. That's also very loose. The drive itself is very loose down here. So, and now comes the easy part of it all, and that goes for all of these models. The M300, so easy. It's just clipping in, moving up, and out this one goes. Here we have a corner, and this corner drive is called CP3046. So, but it's like crazy loose. And this is the floppy drive. That's probably just a 1.44. So let's move this aside. We have a small battery compartment here for the CMOS on the board. Let's move that out. And we can also take this out, which is also very easy. There are two clips down here. They just need to be pushed up. And then off this goes. And we have another broken piece. The clip over here, on that side, broke off. I see a lighting down here, also broken off, both of them. So a piece on both sides to fasten these are broken. And wow, let me just unhook the cable here, and that's down here. That should be moved up, I recall. There we go. So this is the on and off. I have no clue what that is. That's gooey and brownish and very disgusting. We have the loudspeaker. That can also be moved out. Fairly easy if nothing is broken. And that's a clip up there and over here. I'm afraid of breaking it, but it is. There we go, on one side, on the other side, and out this one goes. And the speaker can be pushed out, usually, like this. And then we can take all the cables through the hole here. Sorry, there we go. So that we have one piece with the broken parts. There's a V and there's a G. I don't know So that's for power. This is for hard drive activities. But as you can see, the stand on this side has been broken off. And if I have a look on the board, I was hoping to locate the broken piece for the power supply, but I haven't found it yet. So let's take out the power cables to the board. This is again an Olivetti proprietary connector. And usually, well, on both of the other models, 2 screws there and a screw down here, and then we should be able to take the power supply off. So let me do that. And the power supply just lifts out. This is where the on and off button is, and we're missing that piece. I found another piece floating inside. This is probably for some of the in front where we have all the 5 1/4 and 3 1/2 drive. That's some of the shielding behind that. And I may be lucky. Let's put the power supply down. Let's just see if I can find this. Yes, that's the missing piece. I can glue it, but I'm not sure if it can hold anything. Because in here, I'll show you when I open the power supply up, because we need to test it. So this needs to be clipped onto the on and off button down there. And if I just glue this part back, that will just snip off. So I'm not sure. I think we will end up 3D printing this one, but let's see how far we go. This goes into the box with all the other, I should say goodies, but that would be a lie, right? Broken pieces. This one and this one. And we can also take out the riser card that's on the board. And again, as all the other ones, this is 16-bit and it's a passive riser card, which then leaves us with the motherboard, but I will come back to that, just removing the 2 cables. I'm taking this away. And we're back with the power supply. Looking at the power supply, there's a tiny screw there and a tiny screw there. I don't know what that plastic thingy up here is good for. And I feel that's all there is. It is, yeah. So let me unscrew these and open it up and come back to you. And here we have a power supply. And just the first glance, this is another power supply. I've never seen these. So in the 2 other M300, it's not the same power supply. So this looks a little bit different. But then again, let's just have a look if I can see anything obviously wrong with it. There's no smell. I don't see any leakages, and everything looks really clean in here. So I think I see a fuse down there, all the way in there. And besides that, I don't see other fuses. And I see the refas, but with Olivetti, we are not with the bad refas. These are good ones and they're still fully intact. They don't crack at all. So that's nice. So let's take out the fuse and let's test that. And I think I'll just blow some air in it and then we'll test the power supply by itself. So the only thing I can see, it's very difficult to see anything on the fuse itself, is I see that it's writing T3, I think it's a comma, 15AH250V. So it's definitely a 250 volt, but it can't be 3.15 amp, can it? But then again, it's a color scheme, so blue, red, brown, orange. Let's just see if there's anything on the board. There is, and I have to admit it is a 3.15 amp fuse. It states it on the board itself. So let's test it. So continuity mode up here, and there we go. So let's test it. Perfect. Nothing wrong with the fuse. Let's put it back in. And let me just blow some air so it's cleaner, and then we'll test it. So I've blown some air in it, there was nothing, so it's very clean inside. I just briefly want to show you the power switch, which is this one. So if you look there, it needs to hook to both sides. And if I just take it as it is, the broken one, it goes in, but it needs to hook into it, or else it doesn't grip on it. So we will glue it together and then we'll test it to see if that will work. But for now, let's just test the power supply. Let's take this one away for now. Let's put some power cable inside it. Like this. This one wasn't sure it's not turned on, so it's turned off. Before I turn that one on, let's move over here to all the connections. And as we know, orange is 12 volt and red is the 5 volt. So let's test it on 12 volt first. Put the voltmeter on. Like this. I think we need to lift it up so we can see anything. Like this. And let me just move over and find some power, which I have all the way over here. And I shall turn it on in the power, and we should see 12 volt up there once I turn this one on. So 3, 2, 1. We have 1133. Perfect. Let's move it over. Let's do 5 volts rail. And that's 5.099, so 5.1. Perfect power supply. Let's turn the power supply off. And as always, I have to say it. Don't mess with the power supply. There's voltage in it, even though we have turned it off. It's in those two capacitors over here. They hold voltage until the bleed-in resistor, which is somewhere in there, has bled the power out. So we know we have a working power supply. So I will assemble it back again, and then we will move over to the actual motherboard. I'm done gluing everything by now, and I have all this left, and I cannot figure out where all of these tiny bits and pieces fit. Some of them I know, but there's no way that this ever will hold. So this is leftovers. But it's fine now. The cabinets, you can see the crack up here. I cannot make it better than this, but it's stable now again. It's clean. I washed it. I put back all the shielding. So the top cover with the front casing is up and running. So let me now take this away and let's turn the camera a little bit over here. This is the stand that goes into the computer. I have it here on my right. I'll show it in a second. This is the stand that holds the bay for the hard disk and the disk drive. I took out both. I'll come back to this. So this is also now glued together. The stand is stable as it's gonna get. I had to glue in a few other bits and pieces, and up here I had to do some gluing. So this one is also ready. And before I take this all the way away, we also had this piece that goes into the power supply. So it goes like this hooks in like this, and then the power supply, which I have over here, like this, that goes into, if I take it out, goes in here. So that's also glued together, and it seems to be fairly stable also. So I think this project is done. Let's do this away. Let's take the rest, which is the piece that goes in front with the loudspeaker. That's also glued. These two stands are glued. They were broken off. Besides that, all good. And then comes this part. I just briefly want to tell you that there was this corner CP3046 hard disk inside this one. Very loose, like seriously. And seriously, like it was with true screws. And they were not even, they were just touching it. And when I just moved the screw a little bit around, the hard disk fell down. So these were absolutely not doing anything. The same went for the floppy disk, which is placed here. And there was one screw there, and then there was one screw there. So this is why it was stable, and it was these tiny screws. And again, they were not even screwed halfway in. Super unstable. This is the front cover, which I fixed a little bit as much as I could, and it can now be clicked in and it will stay there. It's not 100%, and if it doesn't work, I will find another floppy disk drive. I haven't cleaned this one yet, which I will do before I assemble it back again. I just wanted you to see everything that's going on. And the last bit, that's the floppy disk cable. Nothing to tell about that one, but this one, that piece that you see here, broke completely off here. It's this one. So that's broken. But it doesn't matter, because this actually goes into the hard disk. Way more pieces are falling off. This goes into hard disk, but it doesn't matter. So I'll put this on the main board and this into the hard disk, so you can take this out. And that's fine. It's all good. So these pieces goes away, and what's left is this one. So that's the bottom of the casing, with the back of the casing all fixed. Everything is glued, everything is washed, everything is cleaned. So I will take out the razor cards like this, also cleaned. And I will adjust the camera, and then we shall have a brief look into the actual tiny motherboard. Let's briefly go through the motherboard inside this Olivetti M300-15. And the brain, if you like, is this AMD 386 SX running at 25 megahertz. It doesn't hold a co-processor. This is why we can extend the motherboard over here with the co-processor. Next to this, we have some RAM and some RAM bays. This one holds 2 megabytes up here together with the parity check. This is RAM bank number 1, sorry, RAM bank number 0. This is then 1, and then 2, and then 3. They always come in pairs. Next to the RAM, we have the BIOS, and this BIOS I have already read the content, and I put an image of that onto my archive.org, so you can download it there if you need this one. These two chips, this one and this one, that's what is the chipset for the whole board. Specifically, this one up here, that chip is the one that manages the RAM and the AT board and expansion card up there. The rest of the chipset is just managed by this one. Over here, and together with these 4 chips, these are memory for the video, which is this one. This is the video chip. This is 0.5 megabyte of video chip. If we move a little bit over here, then we have the keyboard controller up there. This one is the controller for the parallel and the serial port up there. And as I said, this is the extension for the Razer card. If I move this in just a tiny, there we go, it goes in here. And then we have the connector for a floppy disk and a connector for a hard drive. These chips down here, they are the buffer for the hard disk. This is Olivetti's proprietary power supply. This is the connector for the battery. And if I find the battery, this is the battery that was inside there. This doesn't work anymore. It only gives me 1.2 volts out, and we need more than that. So we need to find another battery to put in. I already prepared one of these. So this will give the 6 volt that needs on the board itself. So if we move back to the graphics card controller over here, you can actually extend it just like all the other motherboards in this series. So you can extend the graphics card over here. This goes up to the VGA controller there, the parallel, the serial, the PS2 mouse, the PS2 keyboard up there. And that kind of like concludes the walkthrough of this motherboard. Let me assemble everything together again. And put in the power supply, put in the base. I will not put in the hard disk, as we know this hard disk may be faulty. And we're talking about this guy. So I will leave this outside so that we can easily see if we need to find another hard disk. Currently, I don't have a hard disk, but let's hope this works, but I'm not sure. So let me assemble everything together, and then let's hook it up, put some power to it. I will also extend the motherboard with some memory. I have a few of them laying around. These are 1 megabyte SIM modules, and we can populate. So we get 4 together with the 2, so we will end up with 6. Maybe we will put 2 additional, so we have like 8, but it's not that needed for a small, slow computer as this one. So let me do this, and then let's take it from there. Okay, I have now pulled in the floppy disk drive. I screwed in 4 screws. It's stable, nothing is rattling around there. We need to look at the hard disk, the corner hard disk. So let me just hook the corner hard disk up. I really don't expect this to work at all, but we could be lucky, right? So some power to it, like this. And I have also found the Olivetti customer setup disk. So let me put that one in the floppy disk drive. Let's hook some power to it. It's spinning up. I hear a beep. On the keyboard I see some lightings. Maybe I should turn on the monitor. Oh, it is. There we go. It's turning on, and it's showing me 2 megabytes testing, keyboard passing. The lights are normal. That's not nice. But the hard disk, that's just spinning like fine. And it's saying 1782 disk controller failure. So this doesn't seem that it's working. But it could be that the BIOS just needs to be configured so that it auto-detects disk drive. Here we have the Olivetti M300-15 BIOS setup, and it asks us the language. We've been through this on other computers, so there's not much to tell. And we will go into the setup utility. I know for a fact that this corner hard disk actually provides the firmware on it to tell a system like the Olivetti what hard disk type it is. So it's auto-detected. And in Olivetti it's not called auto-detected, it's usually called standard, as I recall. So let's go into system configuration, change the CMOS, and it is set to standard. If I go down here, I hope you can see it on the camera, I can say not present, standard, high capacity. That's if you have like disk drives that are bigger than half a gigabyte. This is usually for Windows NT OS 2. Then there's the compatible. Compatible is thus the regularly old way to configure, where you manually configure, you select from a list of drives. I know that this one is not in the BIOS as this is auto-configured. And then you say not standard. We could try not standard. I don't know what that is. Then you have to enter all the cylinders. We don't have that feature. So let's keep it at standard, and let's just accept this hard disk doesn't work, sadly. But I'm lucky, I actually have two other corner hard disks. So I have this one. If I look closer, this one there's a stamp on it, so it's really difficult to see. I think it's called OP384E. I wrote some markings on it that hard disk question mark needs to be checked. So we need to check it. I also have another one, but if this doesn't work, let's have a look at that. So let's power down the computer. Let's unhook it. That doesn't look or sound right? So what is the display saying? It's not picking up the hard disk. So this one is also sadly broken. It is somehow spinning now. It's saying the same error as before. So we'll need to try the next corner hard disk that I have. This one, I wrote hard disk OK, formatted with MS-DOS5. This is a CP3256. This is also auto-detected. So let's turn off the computer and let's install this one. So the computer's turning on. The hard disk sounds as it should. It finds the fixed disk 1%, so it sees the hard disk now and actually boots on the hard disk. Or does it? No, I think it boots on the floppy disk because I still have it in. So let's take it out. Control Alt Delete. And it boots. And we're up and running with DOS. So I'm gonna install this hard disk into the computer with 4 screws that are actually working. The 2 ones that were in the other hard disk were too big, so they didn't even fit in. I have the correct screws. So let me just unmount this, put it in the casing. You know, it's very easy to unhook and put it inside, and I'll screw it back. Once that's done, put the cover on. No, I will wait, because let's put some RAM in it, right? So hold on for a second. And it's inside with 4 screws. It doesn't fall out or fall down. Everything is secure. Nice. Let's turn off the computer and let's just briefly find the memory we were talking about earlier. And let's put in a little bit of memory. So if we move the keyboard around, turn the computer a little bit around, we have 6 memory slots, and you always have to pair them in 2 pairs. And on board, it's 2 megabytes as we saw. So in bank 0, there's 2, and then we can add more memory in bank 1, 2, and 3. And I will just put in 1 megabyte modules. These are with parity check as is on the board itself. So let me turn it a little bit around, turn the computer on. I suspect we need to go into the BIOS, so let's put in the BIOS disk. Well, the customer setup disk as it's known. It now sees the additional memory that we put in. So we have a total of 6 megabytes now. It boots actually not on the floppy disk BIOS, it boots on the system BIOS. So let's do USA. And it just needs us to confirm down here. Let me move the computer a little bit away. It just needs us to confirm that this is the correct settings. So this time we will remember to press the Enter key to confirm and not escape. That should be it. So once this is up and running, I haven't put in the disk. Let me do mem. We can now see we have the full memories available for us. So let me put the casing on and let's wrap this up for now. Honestly, I didn't think in the beginning that we could save this computer. As it was so broken outside, I expected more stuff inside would have been broken. And I was even pretty sure the motherboard would also have been broken. But we were lucky this time and made it work, right? It's just a thing with some of the shipment companies around the world. I'm pretty sure some of you have tried similar things with the shipping companies. But it's up and running. And another thing I was a little bit stunned by, for lack of a better word, were that this is actually not an Intel, sorry. This is not an Intel, but an AMD CPU that's inside. This is the first time I'm seeing an AMD on an old Olivetti computer like this. I've seen it on the newer ones, but there we go. I also had to look up in the manual, and the specific manual for this, the official manual, it states that this should be an Intel 386 SX 25 and not an AMD. But there you go. Before I wrap this one up, I just want to say that there also exists an M300-08. It's almost the same computer, but that one just holds an Intel, according to the schematics, an Intel 386 SX running at 20 megahertz. And it has also half the memory for the video, but you can extend it to the full amount of half a megabyte, just like this one. So maybe someday that model will arrive here at the YouTube channel for you to see. But for now, I would really like to thank you very much. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video or that one. Please remember to subscribe. This way you get notified when I put out new content, and ring the bell. You know all the YouTube stuff. My name is Saibo, and goodbye.